Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Hammond, and our vice chairman and our chairman were unable to make today's meeting, so the duties of chairing the meeting fall to the longest tenured commissioner, and that is strangely me. So I will be presiding over today's meeting, and let's begin this morning by rising for the invocation. I'd like to call our pastor, Javier Rodriguez, to the podium. And Pastor, before you start this morning, I would love for all of us to take a moment to pause in the memory of Bruce Scott. He's a former Florida House of Representatives member and a former commissioner who served on this board. He was here on the commission at a time when the city of Cape Coral, actually he was in the House of Representatives at a time when the city of Cape Coral was formed. And recently we saw him at the Cape Coral 50th anniversary. He was 92 years old. He passed away in April. And so if we could just take a moment to remember and honor Bruce Scott. Thank you. Pastor.
Well, good morning. Let us bow our heads as we pray this morning. So, Father God, we thank you for this time to come together. We ask first and foremost for your continued grace and strength as we navigate any issues we may have today in this state, this county, and this country. And we ask that the leaders that you've helped appoint, that you give them grace, strength, and wisdom to lead the people that they represent, Jesus. We ask for a great day today. Thank you for another beautiful day here in Southwest Florida, another beautiful day in this country. And we pray a special prayer for Commissioner Ruane and his family, that you give him comfort in this difficult time, that you bring healing in this difficult time, and that you cover them with your love and grace. Once again, we're all very grateful for the opportunity to be here and live in this country and in this county, and we ask once again for your strength and wisdom. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Would you please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Well, this morning we have a couple of wonderful celebrations to start with. And the first one will be a celebration of Goodwill Industries. And I'd like to ask Ashley Price and I believe Skip Mitchell and anybody else who's up here with Goodwill who came to celebrate Goodwill Industries today, please come to the podium and I'll read the proclamation recognizing you all into the record. And then afterwards we'll take a picture right here in front. I'll present it to you, and then if somebody could say a few words, that would be perfect. Good morning, folks. I'm so glad you could join us this morning. I'll go ahead and read the resolution into the record. Whereas Goodwill Industries International was founded in 1902 by Reverend Edgar J. Helms, who began collecting used household goods and clothing, training others to mend and repair items, reselling them, and creating a system of self-sufficiency that is still modeled in communities across our nation and state. Whereas Goodwill Industries of Southwest Florida is one of more than 150 autonomous Goodwill agencies governed by local volunteer boards and a chief executive officer. And whereas Goodwill Industries of Southwest Florida has provided programs and services to empower individuals with disabilities and disadvantages since 1966. And whereas Goodwill Industries of Southwest Florida supported 24,716 individuals in 2024 through mission services focused on workforce development, disability services, small business development, and affordable, attainable housing. And whereas May 7th, 2025 is designated as Goodwill Industries of Southwest Florida Day to celebrate the achievements of the agency in being a vital resource for all individuals experiencing barriers to employment and independence through meaningful collaboration, innovation, and a person-centered approach. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Lee County Commissioners hereby recognizes Goodwill Industries of Southwest Florida for its invaluable impact on our community this day and year-round. It's duly executed by our chairman, Kevin Ruane, on the 20th day of May 2025. Congratulations on Goodwill Industries Day.
Good morning. I'll count us down for a couple of photos. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you again for honoring us today. My name is Ashley Price. I'm the Director of Development, and I always like to say I have the honor but also the challenge of fundraising for Goodwill Southwest Florida. As you can imagine, a lot of people see our gorgeous stores that we have around the 5 counties, which is Lee, Collier, Charlotte, Hendry, and Glades. But through employment and through independence, we help people across those 5 counties. We have 5 focuses. First, our stores. Our stores provide workforce development opportunities for over 1,100 individuals locally, 75% of which either identify with a disability or a disadvantage. We also focus on workforce development in our community resource centers. We have disability services through our Pathways to Opportunity. So that's an adult training program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities where they learn to thrive. We also do small business development. We're proud to have supported over 700 businesses be started or sustained in Southwest Florida. As we know, almost 90% of our economy is based on small business, so we're really proud to be part of that. And then, of course, we have affordable and attainable housing. You don't need to hear from me. Goodwill pays me. I would like to give it to Kathy Spear, our Vice Chair of our board.
Thank you, Ashley. I've been on the Goodwill Southwest Florida board for 9 years, and I am thrilled and really blessed to be part of such an organization that cares for other people, and we're proud of that. As the proclamation stated, we're not just retail stores. We are so much more. And I have a fact that you probably don't know. 93 cents of everything that's earned in our stores goes back to our mission services. That's phenomenal, and we're very proud of that. Many of us take so much for granted, but there's so many people that don't have that opportunity, that luxury. And so Goodwill Southwest Florida provides the opportunities for individuals to become, as Ashley said, very independent, confident in what they're doing, and they can live lives out there in the community where they didn't think they could before. We have the best, selfless, dedicated staff you would ever want to work with. We are proud of them. They see a problem, they see an issue in the community, and the next day we have a program. That's what they do. They believe in Goodwill Southwest Florida. They believe in our organization. They certainly believe in our mission. It's a privilege to work alongside them every single day. Our board of directors, we have those 3 here represented. We're engaged in every aspect of Goodwill Southwest Florida, and we are very supportive and so proud of what we accomplish on a daily basis. So please remember that every day we are helping someone that you know. To know us is to love us. And so, commissioners, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this recognition of such a wonderful organization. As you know, we do so much in the community. We want our name to be known as someone says, oh, let's think about a nonprofit organization in this community. And Goodwill Southwest Florida is going to come up to the top. We're proud of us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate this recognition.
Thank you, guys. All right. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Mullica for a special presentation on problem-solving courts.
Thank you, Chair. If I could welcome up Judge Gagliardi or Judge Nicole Mira, please. Join us, and then we'll read the proclamation and take a picture. Yes. So, whereas, according to All Rise, the leading organization in justice system innovation, problem-solving courts are the most successful justice system intervention in our nation's history for reducing crime by addressing substance abuse and mental health disorders, and whereas problem-solving courts save an average of more than $6,000 for every individual they serve, and whereas problem-solving courts provide a range of economic benefits to a community, such as reduced costs in court and prison expenditures, increased tax revenues, lowered foster care expenses, and decreased costs relative to victimization, and whereas problem-solving courts combine accountability with evidence-based treatment, and whereas problem-solving courts combine accountability with evidence-based treatment, and whereas problem-solving courts annually refer more than 150,000 people to life-saving treatment and recovery support services, and according to All Rise, problem-solving courts significantly improve substance use and mental health disorder treatment outcomes, and prevent fatal overdoses. And whereas problem-solving courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health, and whereas there are more than 4,000 problem-solving courts nationwide, including Lee County Adult Drug Court, Lee County Mental Health Court, and Lee County Veterans Treatment Court. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County proclaims May 2025 shall be known as Problem Solving Court Month, a month of awareness and recognition within our judicial circuit, as well as our partner agencies engaged in these collaborative efforts. Duly executed today by our chair, Kevin Ruane.
Congratulations, folks.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
The team. Problem solving.
Okay, Bridget. Squeezing a little here. Perfect. Thanks. I'll kind of stand for a couple. 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
And judges, if you
Yes, I'm going to say something.
Oh, perfect.
Do you know that I'm going to stay for a very, very short time because I have to run? One of my mental health participants has not eaten for 8 days. And his mom took him to the hospital to try to get him to take intravenous things, and he refused that. So now I have to run and have an emergency hearing to have a Baker Act. And so I want to tell you that this work that we do is important. This work that we do every day is valuable. We help so many people with mental health issues, drug addiction issues, and our veterans, they're fabulous. I love Veterans Court. I just want to tell you, thank you for all you do. Thank you for our money. Gotta go. Bye.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you for solving that problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you to the whole team of folks. Have a great day. I was there yesterday for jury duty. I did not get called, obviously, so I got to see a peek behind the curtain. Good job. Okay, at this time, the board will take up the agenda recap. This is the time where we look at additions and deletions to the agenda, as well as revisions and corrections. Under items to be deferred and continued, the county administration and the utilities department have asked us to defer items C22 and items C52. And so at this time, would somebody like to make a motion to defer those items as requested?
I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Greenwell and the seconds from Commissioner Mullica. Do we have any public comment on the deferral of those two items? Okay, I see no public comment. Is there any further discussion, board members? Seeing none, are there any objections? No objections, that motion carries unanimously. We do have from County Administration a revision for item C28. This is the item that is approving the submission of the CDBG-DR action plan amendments to HUD. The correction is that we're adding a summary of the comments that have been received, and they are now attached to the agenda item. Would somebody make the motion to make that addition?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
The motion's from Commissioner Greenwell and the second's from Commissioner Mullica. Do we have any public comment on just adding those comments into the agenda item? We'll vote on that item later. Okay, I see no public comments. Back to the board, any further discussion? Seeing no discussion, are there any objections?
No.
I see no objections. That motion carries unanimously. And that concludes the agenda recap. So let's move into the consent agenda. The consent agenda is items 1 through 55 on the agenda. These are items that are routine business or moving along, items that the board has previously given direction on. Commissioner Greenwell, do you have any items to pull for discussion?
not.
Commissioner Mullica, any items to pull?
I just have one, item number 30, please.
Okay, so Commissioner Mullica has pulled item 30. We'll take that up after we move the consent agenda. I have no items to pull. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the balance?
I'll make a motion to approve the balance.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner
Second.
Greenwell. Second from Commissioner Mullica. You're going to hear this a lot today with only 3 of us. At this time, I'd like to take public comment then on the items that remain on the consent agenda. So this would be items 1 through 55, excluding item 30, which has been pulled for a separate discussion. At this time, I'd like to recognize Chief Benjamin Mickelite to come to the podium. He'd like to speak on item 25. And then while he's coming, is David Wyndham here? David, are you speaking on the CDBG DR item, the Hurricane Ian relief funding item? Okay, so that would be on the consent agenda, so I'll go ahead and call you next, if that's all right. Okay, perfect. Chief, good morning.
Good morning, how are you guys? Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. So I want to talk about agenda item 25, about Lee County EMS. So currently, the fire district in Lee County are currently negotiating a lease agreement, and the district was not aware that there's any intent of Lee County EMS moving out of Station 1. So it's kind of a shock to us that we're currently negotiating with the county and not being made aware of any intent of EMS moving out of the station. So it's very upsetting to us, and I just wanted to voice that concern. So thank you so much for the time.
Okay, thank you, Chief, very much. And then let's go ahead and take the other comment then. This would be, I believe, item C28, David Wyndham, that you're going to talk about. It would be Hurricane Ian CDBG-DR related action plan amendments. And Mr. Wyndham, as you're making your way to the podium, you'll see when you get up here, there's a green light, a yellow light, and a red light. You'll have 3 minutes to talk. When that yellow light comes on, you'll have about a minute left, so you'll want to start to wrap it up. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm here to speak on behalf of the funding and where these funds are going to be placed to, as far as the aid to help the individuals that are still left without help from the Hurricane Ian. That's basically what I'm wanting to know, where the funding is going to be all put, if it's going to be moved to be used for something else. That's pretty much my question.
All right, thank you very much for your comments today. Very good. At this time, does anybody else wish to speak on any of the consent agenda items? That would be items 1 through 55. Okay, I see a hand. Mr. Schottmiller?
Yes, I took out number 15.
Okay, come on forward.
Maybe I can go get some. Number 15, I noticed, is dealing with the housing and the needs. The property out in the Suncoast area that I have, it was bought to aid that community as well as Fort Myers itself, okay, area. And Charlie approached me about something to deal with recovery for people, and I admire the woman that was just up here dealing with the drugs and the courts and that. And I guess Judge Sweat has retired or whatever, but I know a lot of people were helped with that court. So it's getting that property developed. The windows are shot in that trailer, so I'd like to, whatever permit I need to do that and fix the floors. And right now I'm chipping tile and all that stuff. It's a 1964 trailer. So egress windows will cost me $100, and I got about $400 set aside. Charlie's came over to clean up some stuff and take the scrap tin. So to start repairing, and whatever permit I need or whatever. And I'm still talking to Diane again, and I brought that up. Meeting with you, I talked to Fox News. She's always wants to interview me for some reason. We need people helped. So if I died, it goes to, it's a Lady Bird deed, but I want to revise. So my child is getting a stipend, and then in 50, 70 years from now, that property is still helping people in this community. So whatever is needed for that, I appreciate it.
Okay.
So give Charlie a call, give Charlie a call, okay? And let's move on. He's so busy. I said, just call Brad. Oh, I didn't have time. Can't open broke. I said, hey, he's work. Opened up about 10 cans from the supper. So working together, we can make things happen. And I'm going to take off. I was going to speak on the housing, but I already covered it. So Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Schottmiller. Appreciate your time this morning. All right, anybody else wish to speak on items 1 through 55 on the consent agenda? Okay, I see no hands, so we'll close public comment at this time. We'll come back to the board. Mr. County Manager, could you address Chief Mickelite's comments? And then afterwards, maybe we could also get just a brief recap of the CDBG-DR funding and how that's helping people and what opportunities are still out there for folks.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Ben Abus to come up and discuss the Pine Island Fire Department discussion.
Commissioners, good morning. Benjamin Avis, Public Safety. Item 25 is a lease for a property in Pine Island Center, which is located very close to the fire station there in near the intersection of Stringfellow and Pine Island Road. We've been in negotiations with the fire department for some time. Those negotiations between their legal counsel now, the county attorney's office, and county lands have continued. We continue to be, however, at a point where we're not getting to mutually agreeable terms and conditions. And because we're not able to get to a point where there are mutually agreeable terms and conditions, our concern is that we may find ourselves in a position where we don't have a place for the ambulance on Pine Island. And so in the past, we have waited to be in a position to not have an ambulance in an area that needs emergency response. In this case, we're proactively trying to address that. The lease amount on this property is very similar to the lease amount that the fire department is wishing to charge. In addition, this property would allow us dedicated space. So our crew of an EMT and paramedic would have the entire facility as dedicated space for their own use, where in the fire station, all of that space, aside from the place where the ambulance parks, is shared space with the other employees of the fire district. And our intention would be to lease a location near Pine Island Center for a period of time, and within the next 2 to 3 years, have a capital improvement project to have a fixed station at Pine Island Center. That is not part of our CIP, but that would be the concept that we would bring back as we continue to move forward. So happy to answer any questions that you might have, but that's the position that we find ourselves in today.
Commissioners, any questions at this time?
Yeah.
Commissioner Mullica, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm sorry to hear there's any kind of an impasse between the fire department and our teams. That kind of takes me by surprise. So I would encourage any cooperation that we can find, but the way you just described it, do you actually think this is better use of the same expense to have this facility, or do you wish you could stay in the same place for less that we have now?
I think right now our crews are constrained by the space that's available at the fire station. So for a nearly identical cost, we can have dedicated space, more comfortable environment for them to be able to work in. I have said in the nearly 10 years that I've been public safety director, we want to work well with our fire districts. We want to have good relationships. If we can't come to mutually agreeable terms and conditions, or we can't have suitable space for our staff to work, then that's one of the responsibilities we have, is to find them that space.
No, I agree. We have to be open. I didn't know if you wish you had a deal with the existing deal was lasted longer, or you consider this to be a progress in a different direction to have more space or your own individual space, if that's actually better. So you don't want to negotiate with them anymore because you think this is better.
I think if we could find mutually agreeable terms and conditions at a cost that was significantly less, it would be a different trade-off to be able to co-locate with them and continue what we've done for a long time. But
how much were we paying a month on the previous?
Well, we weren't. We actually constructed an ambulance bay onto the station, and that's where the ambulance was housed inside the station. We did not have a lease agreement for the living quarters inside the station. Part of that construction of the ambulance bay was a period of time which has now expired, and the fire district would like to charge the county for the exclusive use of that ambulance bay, which you paid to construct.
We bought and built.
Correct.
I understand the problem now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Greenwell?
Yeah, I have a question, Ben, or at least a comment on it. So you're negotiating for the space with every district. So you have 18, 19 districts or whatever that you have to negotiate these contracts with. And so they're individually done. So it's quite the process because we have so many districts. Right.
Correct.
So I just want to point that out.
Thank you.
Could you, Mr. Avis, talk about we have had a good relationship with all the fire departments that we locate with. How would you continue to work with the fire department out here if we did move out?
Well, I think there's two things that are important to recognize. One is that while we have these administrative disagreements, the work that the men and women on our team within emergency medical services and emergency communications, lead control, and the work that the men and women of the fire district, that continues. You know, we always encourage that to continue to be seamless because number one, the community comes first. We would continue to work with them on any, future opportunities to look at expanded facilities or other ways where we could work together. Again, I'm a big advocate of trying to find ways and efficiencies within the system where we can, find appropriate uses of taxpayer dollars where we can, benefit not only the fire district, but the county as well. And so we continue to look for those opportunities.
Will there be a cost to build out this, I think it's a duplex, to be able to house our people?
It's a single-family home. There are a few upgrades that we would have to make as part of that. The cost that I've heard is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 or $3,000. There's some minor electrical work to be able to supply the power for the ambulance charging. And aside from that, we'll have to put a radio system in, which is something that we have in-house. So there may be a nominal install fee to wire the speakers and the equipment.
Is there an out in the lease that we would agree to today that if for some reason negotiations were successful with the fire department, that we could get out of this lease and move back in with the fire department?
I might ask Mr. Clemens to come up and speak to the actual terms and conditions of the lease. He's probably better positioned to speak to those.
Thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Clemens, County Lands. Yes, there is an out. We have a 60-day termination clause in the agreement. At any time, we can terminate this.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Any other questions for? Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, so this item is currently on the consent agenda. A motion has been made to approve the consent agenda, which would approve this item along with it. Does anybody wish to do anything different than the motion that's on the floor? No? Okay. So at this time, let's talk to the county manager real quickly about the hurricane, and since we did get a comment about that, the CDBG-DR funds. We have heard comments, obviously, that were incorporated into the agenda item. Could you guys address what is out there for the survivors and the folks who are still looking to take advantage of those funds?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. Salyer to present that item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. We do actually have a slide that outlines what is being reprogrammed with the action plan amendment. You can see the top level categories here, where we are today, and then what the amended budgets will be after the amendment is approved by HUD. Now, within these overarching categories, I think the one program that is being focused on is the Lehigh Acres Individual Housing Assistance Program. And we should have, that should pop up here momentarily. There it is. You can see that this action plan amendment does not change that budget allocation for that particular program. Now, I will say we are going to dramatically underspend this category, and once we get through all of the individual housing assistance awards, we will come back to the board to true that up so that you know how much money you actually have remaining in that program, and you'll give us direction as to how to use that money going forward. That will be tens of millions of dollars. You can see we have estimated costs right now at just over $100 million. So for what's available today, Commissioner Hammond, the pre-application window for hurricanes Helene and Milton is open right now. People can go to our website, they can call our outreach center, or they can visit our outreach center in person and walk through the application process with an individual case manager if they choose to do that. And so anybody who has received damage from the most recent storms should certainly avail themselves of that process.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, any questions on this item?
Just a comment, if you don't mind.
Commissioner Vollica, yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I met with some folks in my office and had a lot of emails about this program. I'm sure you all did, but It's important to note that I think there was some confusion over the funds that were being reallocated for infrastructure today as this account being affected by that. So I did ask for this breakout number to be listed, so to give people the peace of mind to know that the accounts that we're sweeping into the infrastructure today that's before us to vote on later has no bearing on this. We're not sweeping this account.
Right.
This money is still where it originally was, and for that use has not been affected by the infrastructure discussion that we had. So I think a lot of people were misinterpreting that the accounts we were moving money from, the multifamily accounts, included this fund, and I'm glad you pointed that out. I also wanted to point out that the folks that came to see me were repeat guests, and they complimented you and your team on giving them assistance with the paperwork and your offer to assist people to invite them into your team or come to them to help whatever's necessary to get them the information they need to apply for this one, and Helene and Milton. I wanted to commend you that they were very complimentary of your team in that effort. So please, I would encourage any of the citizens that need this or want this to apply for the pre-application period so that our team can help you make it as easy as possible for those who qualify. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
Last question, just Glenn, real quickly. Is there anything with the eligibility requirements for this money that we could ask for a waiver for, something that could help more people be eligible for, relief from, the damage they're trying to fix from Hurricane Ian or any of the storms?
Commissioner, you do have a waiver request pending with HUD for the Hurricane Ian allocation that would reduce the requirement to spend at least 70% of these funds on low, moderate income households to 50%. That has been pending since last November. It is not yet approved. I think we are going to have to revisit that with HUD and see if there's somewhere in the middle that perhaps we could meet. If they were to lower that threshold a little bit, that would then provide you with some potential flexibility that you could use to make more people eligible. Absent that, we are going to struggle to reach the 70% requirement if we expanded eligibility.
Is there, I'm just thinking, is there information we need to get to HUD to let them know the situation? Could we tell them, look, this block of people, however many it is, would be eligible to receive funding from this that they could use to recover from the hurricane? However, we need this waiver from you guys to make this happen. Do you have that information? Have you communicated that with them? What's the process on that?
Yes, sir. We do have estimates for that. We have been communicating to them regarding lots of different justifications for a potential waiver. I do think probably redoubling that effort and perhaps even engaging our delegation to a greater extent at this point might be helpful. I don't. They have not communicated any time frame for approval or denial, and it's now been over 6 months. So I think that's probably our next step. So we'll come back to the board with some ideas about that.
Okay, and you already have sufficient board direction to do that. We've talked about that at length, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. All right, at this time, does anybody have anything else they wish to discuss on the consent agenda? All right, so at this time, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion related to approving the consent agenda. Are there any objections to that motion? Okay, I see none, so that motion carries unanimously. At this time, we'll take up item number 30, which has been pulled for discussion. Mr. Harner, would you please introduce that item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to approve the construction contract for New Lee County Clerk of Courts Office in Lehigh Acres.
Okay, Commissioner Mullica, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I consulted with the Clerk of Courts yesterday about this item, and in our discussion, roundtabling this matter, it was recommended that we consider pulling this item at the moment and give the staff direction and an opportunity to possibly value engineer and recalibrate the project at the center out there where the other constitutionals are currently set up, and to see if there might be some economies of scale or some value engineering steps that could be taken to best serve the residents and the staff needs that might be implemented in this program. So to re-examine this in a future agenda.
Very good. So would you like to make a motion, Commissioner? Or?
Well, I'd like to make a motion to defer this item and to give staff direction to work with the clerk and the other constitutionals to see if we can find a way to upgrade this program as more efficient. We're all looking at budget season coming up here, and I think there might be some cost-saving alternatives that we could present and our staff could come up with the clerk's feedback and bring this back to us in a better fashion if we so made a motion to defer. So that would be my motion.
I'll second your motion. I had the same concerns about this item. Commissioner Greenwell, any comments you want to add? No. Yeah, Commissioner Mullica, I want to take comment before we obviously vote on anything, but I did have similar concerns to you. When I looked at just the price per square foot, it seemed extremely high. I think closer to $600 for the full build out of this commercial.
You know, building's already there, right?
Yeah, and so that just seemed extremely high to me. So I would love to find out if there's a way through maybe competitively bidding this, value engineering this, whatever, give the staff the direction they need to go back to the drawing board on this one and bring that cost per square foot down on this one. All right, at this time then, let's go ahead and ask, would anybody, Mr. Clerk, would you like to speak on this item?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Mullica, for the conversation yesterday. We've worked really closely with county management on this project for a number of years and tried to do our best to keep the cost as low as possible. But each time we've had a delay, that cost has increased. I had conversations with EHAB and Mr. Robert Cody that the building is already there. So why the expenses keep going up is something I'm certainly interested in looking at. As you all know, the east side of our county's population is growing rapidly. I looked at some numbers just this morning to go back to a question Commissioner Mullica had on needs versus wants. And on the vision for this program is to be full service. So it would support both clerk of court duties and official records. So anything from traffic tickets to passports to marriage licenses, the whole bit. But I did have a brief conversation with Supervisor of Elections Tommy Doyle on potentially partnering in that space to allow him more space to do early voting as well. So I think that we're all committed to doing the right thing, making sure that the costs are as least as possible, but the need is certainly there for the east side of the county. I only operate 2 service centers in the entire county. One is downtown Fort Myers and one is Cape Coral. So the entire east and south side of the community have to drive all the way up either 75, 41, or 82 in order to get some of our in-person services, and that's all dictated by Florida law. So if you want to come get a marriage license, you have to appear in person, you have to give your driver's license, and we have to do some quality assurance steps on many of our processes. That's just one example, but I'm totally looking forward with the team that we've been partnering with and seeing if we can make any improvements to that plan. Yep, I'm available for any questions if you may have them.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any questions for the clerk? No. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. At this time, does anybody else wish to speak on item number 30, the clerk's office in Lehigh Acres? Mr. Yasin, you want to talk? If you could just state your name for the record, too.
Good morning. My name is Mohammed Yasin, and thank you all at the courts for doing what you're doing. I wish we can be a little more efficient and provide closer and nearer services. That population is larger than Fort Myers. I know we're unincorporated. It's actually closer to Cape Coral, but these are all cities. And I'm hoping that you guys would be able to acknowledge and recognize that someday, hopefully, we'll be a city. Someday, hopefully. I know. But
thanks, Mr.
We will be thankful for that service. I will have other comments later if that doesn't matter.
Okay, perfect, great. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak on item 30? Okay, I see no further speakers. We'll come back to the board. We have a motion and a second on the floor. The only thing that I would add is just, you know, it does sound like there is a need out there to provide these services in Lehigh Acres. So hopefully we'll act with some urgency to get a plan together. We'd hate to see costs continue to rise. Any further discussion?
Just one follow-up comment. I want to just make sure the residents of East Lee County understand that this is not, we absolutely support the project as a whole. We're just trying to find efficiencies and deliver service at the best possible budget. And if there's a way that we need to phase it to build out a portion of it sooner and a portion of it later, those kind of ideas are happening, but none of this is intended to be any not liking the project or wanting to build the facility service needs for the community. So this might be a brief pause and a reapproach, but it's certainly absolute support of the item as a whole. So I just want to make that clear.
Agree 100%. All right. I see no further discussion on the item, so are there any objections to the motion? I see no objections. That motion carries unanimously. And that concludes the consent agenda and item 30. At this time, I'd like to move to the administrative agenda. Mr. County Manager, will you please introduce the first item on the administrative agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to award a contract for Ponderosa Boat Ramp Improvements Phase 2. I'd like to ask Mr. Ehab Burgess to present the item.
Good morning. Ehab Gergis Construction Management. This item to approve contract with Sully's LLC in the amount of almost $906,000. This is for Phase 2 for the Ponderosa Boat Ramp. This will be a follow-up to the Phase 1 that was approved back in March, which is under construction now. It's about 25% done. It's all the underground utilities. And it will follow up with paving the parking lot by FDOT, and then it will follow up by Phase 2, which will be in front of us here. This to repair all the boat docks. We have 3 of them, the north one and the center and the south. We're gonna have the fish cleaning station installed with a shade structure and some landscaping and signage. Both of the phases, hopefully, the majority of the work that will allow us to open the boat ramp will be done in August. There may be some items that Phase 2 needs to do, which is the landscape and some signage, which will not impede the opening in August.
Very good. So boaters rejoice. Ponderosa will be back in August. That's exciting news. We'll do everything we can to get it open. Thank you very much. Any questions, commissioners, for our staff?
I just want to compliment Ehab and his team for their approach, and they revised their original strategy on this to do this in 2 different bid phases, one on the marine package that we're looking at now and one on the landward package. And I think that strategy brought efficiencies, and I think the original deliverable timeline was next April or May for both of these to be done. To move that up to August with your strategy on that, I wanted to compliment you and your team on that, and I'm anxious to see this happen. That boat ramp, a lot of people, I mean, we're short on boat ramps. It's hard to get your boat in and out of here, and a lot of trades that value that boat ramp, and the residents, they're going to really be happy to see this even bigger and better than it was. But it's such a great asset to have back. So thank you for accelerating the project.
Any further comment? Okay. Would anybody like to speak in public comment on this item number 56, the Punta Rasa boat ramp? Okay, I see no speakers. We'll come back to the board. Would somebody like to offer a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Mullica, the seconds from Commissioner Greenwell. Is there any further discussion? I see no further discussion. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Harner, please introduce item 57.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to accept FDEP Resilient Florida grant funding. I'd like to ask Ms. Pam Keys to present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pam Keys with Utilities. A little bit of good news today. We are asking you to accept a grant from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for $16.2 million. These funds will be allocated to our Fort Myers Beach water reclamation facility rehab and capacity enhancement project. These funds will be specifically used for our operations building and our electrical buildings to harden them and to raise them for flood protection and future mitigation.
Very good. Any questions for our staff? All right, I see none. Thank you, Ms. Keys. Does anybody wish to speak in public comment on this item? I see no speakers and have no cards. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Greenwell.
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Mullica. Do we have any further discussion? I just want to thank the state of Florida and the Department of Environmental Protection for the grant. And this is a vital piece of infrastructure we need back. So thank you. All right, I see no further discussion. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Harner, please introduce item 58.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to award contract to construct deep injection wells at Southwest Advanced Water Reclamation Facility. And I'd like to ask Ms. Pam Keys to present the item.
Very good.
Good morning. This is an important project for our Southeast Water Reclamation Facility. It is part of a requirement from FDEP for our operating permit to have 2 alternatives for effluent disposal. The scope of services includes 2 deep injection wells as well as a dual zone monitoring well. Part of putting this out now, we anticipate the plant will need to be in operation in 2028, but we want to lock in these prices with today's prices. So the wells will be built concurrently. It's only for the drilling, so you will be seeing us come back and asking for construction costs for the above ground portion of these wells. But we're excited to get this before you today and keep on schedule for that plant.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions on this item? Okay, I see no questions. Thanks, Ms. Keys. Would anybody like to speak on item 58? Okay, I have no cards and I see no speakers. Back to the board. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Greenwell.
I'll second that motion.
Second from Commissioner Mullica. Do we have any further discussion? I see none. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously. At this time, we'll move to our public hearing agenda. I'd like to recognize the County Attorney's Office for the first public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Amanda Swindle with the County Attorney's Office. I have your first public hearing. This hearing is a request from the Housing Finance Authority of Lee County to approve the issuance of multifamily mortgage revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $46,260,000 to finance a project known as North Chamberlain Apartments located in Sarasota County. Your approval is required under Florida statutes and the Internal Revenue Code in order to secure the tax-exempt status of the bonds.
Very good. Any questions, Commissioners? Okay, I see no questions. Thank you very much. Would anybody like to speak on this item, the North Chamberlain Apartments project? Okay, I see no speakers and I have no cards. Back to the board. Commissioners, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move the item.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Mullica and seconds from Commissioner Greenwell. Any further discussion on the item? I see none. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously. Please introduce item 60, Mr. Holborn.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Holborn with the County Attorney's Office. Your second public hearing today is on item number 60, which has been properly advertised, and a copy of the affidavit has been provided to the clerk. This public hearing is to adopt an ordinance to repeal and replace the Lee County Procurement Ordinances 18-22, 22-06, and 23-21 into one consolidated ordinance. Staff is available for any questions you all may have.
Great. Commissioners, do you have any questions on this item? Okay, great. I see no questions. Maybe just by way of explanation then, not to prolong the discussion, but Mr. Harner, would you all be able to talk to us, or maybe the County Attorney's Office if it's more appropriate, just post-disaster response? What does it look like as far as approvals? I think that was the original reason for bringing this one forward.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask
just a
Mary
brief,
Tucker to come up and
brief
present the item.
practical overview of what it looks like, that's all.
Good morning,
Morning.
Mary Tucker, Procurement Manager, Director. What the ordinance now says is in the first 30 days, once a disaster has been declared, the county manager does have the authority for approval. During that 30 days, anything that the county manager does do will come back to the board for ratification. And then after that 30 days, then any emergency work that needs to be done will require a board meeting prior to us doing any work.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks very much. Any questions at all for our procurement department? No?
No questions.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. All right. At this time, would anybody like to speak on this public hearing item number 60? Okay. I see no speakers and I had no cards related to this item. Does somebody wish to make a motion?
A motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Mullica and second from Commissioner Greenwell. Any further discussion?
No, I wanted to
Commissioner
thank
Mullica?
staff for, Mr. Chair, thank you for bringing this item forward and seeing this through in our strategic planning session. This was a point of discussion, and I like to see the outcome of this, that we have to gavel out certain authorities during an emergency, but we can gavel back when it's not and retain our existing authority at that time. And I'm pleased to see the outcome of this ordinance, so thank you for the team.
Yeah.
Commissioner Greenwell.
Yeah, Commissioner Mullica, thank you for actually addressing this. I think it was long overdue, and it was great to work with staff and kind of tighten things up. So I think it was a great job. I just want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Good deal. Thanks, Commissioners. All right. So do we have any further discussion on this? All right. Seeing no further discussion, We had a motion from Commissioner Mullica, and the second was from Greenwell, if I remember correctly. All right, any objections to the motion that's on the floor? I see none, so that motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. That concludes our public hearing agenda. At this time, I'd like to recognize the County Attorney's Office for a walk-on item. Mr. Wesch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some time ago, the state decided that rather than having the commission chairmans across the state appoint members to the Value Adjustment Board, that it need take place by board election. Therefore, the item before you is for you all to elect a member of your body to serve as the alternate vice chair on this year's Value Adjustment Board. And it's my understanding that Commissioner Mullica has stepped forward, somewhat volunteered.
Very good.
But we need that by formal board action.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. I'd like to nominate Commissioner Mullica to be on the Value Adjustment Board.
I would like to second that.
We have a second from Commissioner Greenwell. Do we have any further discussion?
I see where this is going.
Yeah.
I was asked to be a stunt double this week for the commissioners that couldn't make this week's meeting. I didn't realize it was a 51-week extension.
Very
It was
good.
being walked on today, but I'm happy to serve.
Thank
you for the nomination.
They're calling it an election, so consider
You won.
you're going to win this election. Good job. Congratulations. Does
Chairman.
anybody wish to speak
two in a
on
row.
the item? Do I need to take public comment?
Please, but before that, just to clarify, it is as an alternate member. So it's to avoid in upcoming meeting not having a quorum.
Okay, and so the motion maker clarifies it is as the alternate member, and the seconder agrees with that, shaking his head, yes, so very good. Is there any public comment on this Value Adjustment Board nomination? I see no public comment. We'll come back to the board. Any further discussion?
Thank you for this nomination.
Very good. I see no further discussion. Any objection? No objection. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Wesch. At this time, we'll move to Commissioner items. Commissioner Greenwell, do you have any items that you'd like to cover?
I do not at this time.
Commissioner Mullica?
Yes, actually, I had one, thank you. I wanted to ask staff if they could discuss, we've gotten a lot of emails from these FEMA letters, the potential substantial damage determination letters, and I would like staff to come up and address what those letters say and what the desired outcome is for the residents, please. This has caused a lot of angst for people that have been contacting us.
Very good. Mr. Harner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe you will remember that we received a letter from FEMA a year ago, potentially putting us on probation, and we worked through that process. I'm going to turn this over to Mark Mora, but this is part of the action plan that that the board had to approve and that we had to send to FEMA. So, Mr. Mora, if you would present the item, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. You may recall last November, our community development team achieved a significant milestone for Lee County. We went through a lengthy and complex process with FEMA, and ultimately the county successfully maintained eligibility in the National Flood Insurance Program for our residents. That also secured them a 25% discount through the community rating system. As part of that program, we're discussing today how we continue in the program and to preserve that participation. So we have to meet certain program requirements, and one of those is ensuring that everyone who does property repairs related to hurricane damage, and that includes Ian, Milton, and Helene, that it's properly documented and they have permits. So to that end, our team sent out close to 4,000 substantial damage letters to residents with homes located in the special flood hazard area within unincorporated Lee. The same was done in the municipalities for their residents who live in the FHA. So the intent for those letters is for the property owners to get permits if they made repairs to hurricane-related damage. It's very important that we document that. So our team has, in addition to sending out the letters, developed a simple and straightforward process for anybody who receives those letters to document the repairs and issue those necessary permits retroactively. So these are after-the-fact permits that folks can come in for. There are no additional permit fees charged. It's just simply a matter of submitting the appropriate paperwork so that we can incorporate it with our compliance with FEMA standards. So our request is for residents receiving these letters to call or contact our floodplain manager's office and explain exactly what repairs were done to their homes so they could get some guidance on how to get an after-the-fact permit. If they hadn't done any work, then we have to document that as well, so either or. So we really encourage residents who get those letters to reach out to community development so that we can continue on in this program and enjoy the 25% discount the CRS rating provides us.
Very good. Any further questions, commissioners?
So,
Commissioner Mulligan.
yeah, yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I think when I read the first draft of the letter, and maybe it's been updated since, the letter itself first said Helene and Milton were the storms related to this, and I could understand why they would be looking at a recent storm and did something happen to you recently, and then when you get the follow-up and inside the website, it claws back all the way to Ian. So I think a lot of people thought the Ian phase of life was behind us, and I think it's causing a lot of angst to try to dig up paperwork and things from 2.5 years ago on that particular item is kind of escalating some of the stress of people that maybe they had some water intrusion and they removed their flooring and, you know, baseboards. Some people had 8 feet of water in their house. I mean, there's a wide-ranging scope of services, but I had a resident and a neighbor that had hurricane-related repairs to Ian, had permitted windows, doors, roof, et cetera, on this, went to replace their AC unit a few months ago and was caught in this trap of look back, you know, paperwork, and it's a pretty extensive document, and it's 20 or 30 pages long, and he couldn't get a replacement AC permit because we didn't check the box of hurricane damage, yes or no, right? It was just an oversight on the form that caused him to get caught in this black hole. So we fixed that, and I thought that was behind us because they had shown his previous permitted work had been done and cleared that matter up. And then lo and behold, a month later, he gets this letter asking the same questions over again because these letters were sent out to thousands of people at once. And I want to make sure that, you know, we try to make it easy on the folks to go through this process because it was a pretty extensive documentation, and I understand the why, but it's pretty onerous right now to fill out those documents and dig up your insurance policies and every check you ever wrote for your new appliances or all the questions that they're asking these folks. So it's something that I think is important, but I think we need to make it easy on them to navigate this. And I've had some comments from folks that say the callback times have been longer than they wish for the response of this. So I want to make sure if we send out 4,000 letters that we have enough staff set aside appropriately to respond in a timely manner so these people aren't so anxious right now that they're going to lose their insurance. I mean, it strikes a nerve with PTSD from everybody that's been through 3 hurricanes now. So I just want to make sure that we are calming force for them when they do call. Thank you.
Very good. All right, thanks, Commissioner. Does that conclude your commissioner item?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, I have no commissioner items this morning, so we'll move to commissioner appointments. Commissioner Greenwell, do you have any appointments?
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Mullica?
I do not.
No appointments? Okay, commissioners, I have appointments. I have to make one on behalf of Commissioner Pendergrass and then one on behalf of myself. So at this time, I would like to, on behalf of Commissioner Pendergrass, I love the walk-up music. There you go. That's Cecil's favorite song. No, I'm kidding. So on behalf of Commissioner Pendergrass, I would like to nominate Lori Fahey as a new member to the Tourist Development Council. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Greenwell makes the motion and Commissioner Mullica makes the second. Is there any further discussion on that? I see no discussion. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously.
He only gets one walk-up song.
What? That's it. That's it. All right. And then for me, I would like to make a new appointment of Kira Hansen to the Waterways Committee. And so would somebody make that motion?
A second, Commissioner.
Okay, I'll make the motion, then,
You-
right,
okay.
Commissioner Greenwell can make the second, that's right. So I haven't chaired since the chair can make motions now.
Yes, sir.
New to me, old habits die hard. All right, does anybody, any discussion on that? I see no discussion. Are there any objections? No objections, that motion carries unanimously. All right, we will move to county manager items. Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A number of months ago, this board approved an agreement with the Village of Estero to turn over the recreational facilities, the parks, at Estero Park. And we had given them a certain amount of time to complete some tasks. One of those was to separate the irrigation. They were supposed to be done May 20th. They are now asking for a 60-day extension. We have no issue with that. They just needed additional time to make that happen, and we had to bring that forward to get the board direction.
Do you need any motion on that then?
Yes, if you can just give us direction to okay this, then I can let the city manager know.
I'll move the item.
That motion is made from Commissioner Mullica.
Second.
The second is made from Commissioner Greenwell. Any discussion on that? No? Would anybody like to speak in public comment then related to the athletic fields at Estero that we're doing a joint partnership with them on? Yeah, I see no public comment then. Any further discussion? Any objection? No objection. That motion carries unanimously. You have that direction there, Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Mr.
Anything
Chair.
further?
Yes, I have one other item. I would just like to take the time to mention that one of our directors is leaving us. Jeannie Sutton will be leaving us at the end of the month. I just wanted to take a minute to thank her for all her work and dedication that she has provided to not only the county, but the community. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention her and thank her for everything that she's done and wish her well on her new journey.
Thank you, Jeannie. Wow, congratulations. All right, and that concludes your county manager items?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Harner. Mr. Wesh, you are recognized for county attorney items.
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, we'll begin public presentation of matters by citizens. This is an opportunity to speak on items that were not on today's agenda. Just some instructions, because we do have quite a few speakers. When I call your name, I'll go ahead and call your name. You can come to the podium. When you get to the podium, you do not have to adjust the microphone at all. Everything is set for you. Just talk like normal. And there's a green light, a yellow light, and a red light on the top of the podium. And when it starts to get to yellow, that's when you want to start to wrap up, because I want to be fair to everybody and give everybody their 3 minutes of time. We do have quite a few speakers. And then one thing, while people are speaking, I'd like to ask, just for decorum, we would like for nobody to take any actions to intimidate or encourage a speaker. So please, no booing or hissing, and also no applause either. Let's all just go ahead and listen to the speaker. And then if the speakers could, please direct your comments to the board as a whole and not to the audience too. So at this time, I'll call our first speaker. It'll be Angela Tardif. And then our second speaker after Angela will be Kathy Gibbons. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm very nervous, so just excuse me. I'm here to express my profound grief and outrage over the senseless and irreversible decision made by Lee County Domestic Animal Services on May 15th, which resulted in the euthanasia of my beloved cat Kevin within just 2 hours of his intake. I do not have time to read my whole letter, so I will post it later online, but I'm going to just go through a brief version of it. Kevin was dropped off at 8:36 a.m. on May 15th by a concerned neighbor who found him. At 10:30 a.m., he was euthanized. That's 1 hour and 54 minutes later. On May 15th, the same day at 5 p.m., I called the shelter looking for him and was told that he was not there. The next morning at 8:30 a.m., I called again and was told that he was not there. At 9 a.m., I arrived at the shelter to find his intake form on the counter when I arrived. He was clearly there. When I asked where he was, I was told he was euthanized an hour and 54 minutes later. When I had asked why, I was told that it was not only because he was just not identifiable because he did not have a chip, it was because that his eye was severely swollen and damaged. I have clear pictures to show that's not the case. The injury of his eye was from a birth defect or an injury when it happened to be a kitten. The veterinarian could not determine that when I brought him in at 3 weeks old. I would like to just skip through most of my letter here that I have that I will be sending to you guys. I think you have them on your desk in front of you. Additionally, I was told that Kevin's eye condition was a deciding factor in the decision to have him euthanized. Kevin's eye had been damaged as a kitten, but he was fully healed. If your staff had made a decision based on that alone, it shows a serious lack of discernment and knowledge of animal health, and it is heartbreaking to think that what made Kevin unique and strong may have been wrongly seen as a reason to end his life. No photo had been posted, no public notice was made, no stray hold period was observed, and no effort was made to reunite him with us. The entire series of actions appears to be directly violates Florida State Statute 823.151, which exists to prevent exactly this kind of tragedy. The statute was created to ensure shelters make every reasonable effort to reunite their lost pets with the families before any final action is taken, especially euthanasia. Kevin's case demonstrates a complete failure to meet even the The most basic of these expectations, specifically in 8.23151, requires immediate scanning for microchips or ID and accurate intake records, public notice, posting online or at the shelter within 48 hours of intake, processes to match public lost pet reports with incoming animals, and reasonable attempts to contact identified owners, and precautionary steps to ensure that owned pets are not mistakenly euthanized. Even though Kevin wasn't microchipped, the law's protection do not require identification as a precondition for humane handling. The statute is clear that shelters must make reasonable efforts, which in this case would have included public photo, a short holding period, or even internal communication among the staff, which none of that had happened. Even on your website, County Ordinance 14-22, cats with no identification are able to be evaluated immediately upon intake for the best possible outcome. Explain to me how Kevin's death was this possible outcome. That was not the best possible outcome. Kevin's death was not just preventable, it was a result in systemic failure, misinformation, and disregard for both state law and public trust. I am requesting a full investigation into the handling of his case and your euthanasia procedures. I also call on Lee County Domestic Animal Services.
Thank you so much.
That was it?
Yeah, your 3 minutes. Thank
Holy
you so much. I gave you a little leeway, though, on the end of there.
Okay, this will all be posted online. I'd really appreciate meetings afterwards. Thank you.
And please don't leave yet, because I think we're gonna talk about it a little
Okay,
bit,
thank
okay?
you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, our next speaker is Kathy Gibbons, and then after Kathy will be Linda Shellmeyer.
Good morning. Kathy Gibbons, concerned citizen, and here to support Kevin and share my own story about my experience with LCDAS. 2 years ago, I adopted a dog from LCDAS named Princess, who was a full blue-nosed pit bull, a wonderful addition to our family. She had been used as a dog to produce puppies. We were told that she was spayed and never saw anything that would show otherwise. A few months later, a friend of mine talked me into going back to LCDAS to adopt another dog named Bonnie, who was half pit and something else. 2 weeks after we adopted Bonnie, I was feeding the dogs in the morning, and Bonnie, the newest dog, attacked Queenie. Bonnie also bit me and locked on Princess's throat. I called the police, who in turn called animal control. Animal control came. I signed the papers to have Bonnie euthanized. I found out later that Bonnie had previously been adopted and returned, and she was put back out on the adoption floor. I knew none of this. 2 months after this incident, Princess attacked one of my original dogs, so I had to euthanize Princess, which broke my heart, and she was a good dog. I really rescued that dog. None of this would have happened if this agency was honest and kept good records. It needs an overhaul. There is something bad going on there. Everybody knows it. It needs to be addressed. Thank you very much for listening to me this morning.
Thank you. Linda Shelmer, and then after Linda will be Mohammed Yassin.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Linda Shelmer Clem. Angela has already said what needs to be said, but I do have something extra to add. The ordinance needs to be changed immediately. We know that it was your office that did this. The Lee County Board of Commissioners did this to Kevin. Although 3 of you weren't directly responsible, 2 of you were. There has been enough said in the last year and a half, factual information given to you to warrant the other 2 looking into what these ordinances are. Mr. Malika, I'll give you a break. You haven't been here for that. I hope all you guys are aware that you're going to have to dig deep into your pockets and find at least 3 positions open for public records. Per the standard operating procedures at Lee County Domestic, upon intake, a picture and a kennel card is to be created for every animal along with an identification number. I have been personally contacted with over 25 people since this began, wondering where that cat is and wondering if they did not meet the poor demise of Kevin. In order to figure this out, they will have to ask for every record in that facility of every euthanized cat from the day it was missing to today. That would happen as long as Lee County continues to not post the stray cat intake, continue to have a 0 stray hold, and killing them the same day. The county will have to produce these records at an extreme expense to our taxpayers. In our ordinance, you left open for the director of Lee County that he's capable of extending that stray hold. so it can happen today. The very minimum, you should provide these records to immediately to anyone who wants them, so they can be publicly posted so people can look through and find their poor cats. And I hope to God the standard operating procedures have been followed and these records are in there. As we speak, they are mass producing records with fictitious ages and intakes dates on their website as now, possibly why that website went down this morning. One thing that Angela didn't have a chance to mention, which has to do with Michelle Penny, the kennel manager. She is not a licensed professional. She is not a veterinarian. She made the determination of a medical euthanasia for that cat's eye. That is practicing medicine without a license. That needs to be looked into as well. So, in closing, gentlemen, you've got your work cut out for you. It's time to start doing your job and start paying attention to these poor animals in your county. You can't keep putting your heads in the sand while animals are dying, causing devastation to the families in Lee County. I've been told many times I should ask this nicely of you. I can't. I'm upset. I'm tired of being ignored. That's a load of crap. You don't listen because you haven't had any intention of making change. Maybe now you will. You need to look into every ordinance and see what that means and get it the heck out of 1422. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker that I have a card for is Mohammed Yassin. Mr. Yassin.
Thank you all very much, commissioners and other heads of department. I see a lot of you here. I want to first thank the commissioners and their staff for coming out to the opening of the bus station, the Lee-Tran out in Lehigh Acres. I'm not only representing myself, I'm representing Lehigh, because I'm Lehigh Acres Community Council member. First, I want to address natural resources. We've had a ban on our time frame of when water should be used in Lee County, especially in unincorporated area, because of the water shortage. I know end of May is nearby, but you know, who is enforcing the rules and who is coming out? I happen to have gone there myself to the resource center. There 5 people came up. They have to be able to see that the water is running. My friends and folks, for code enforcement and for you to see these things, you don't have to go during the day. People are sneaky. Set some of your folks in the evenings or in the morning. Nobody have to take a picture of that. It's draining our wells. Please, I advise you to bring your code enforcement people to come out during the evenings and in the morning. You will catch a lot of them. My grass is dry. Lots of people's grasses are really green. So you can tell. You don't need cameras for that. I want to revisit, I would love for you guys to revisit the issues of chickens within unincorporated Lee County. You know, it's a source of food for us. Layers. We're not asking for roosters to wake people up. There had been some question about this. You guys are new. I think Mr. Hammond was on the board at that time. So revisit that thing about having layers, people having layers within their area. And I'm going to come back to the court system. Listen, there is an auction site there for land and all of that. But Lehigh, the land in Lehigh, when you click on the site, you can't see the property. For 2 years, we've had that problem. Let your efficiency guy fix that. But meanwhile, I want to thank you all, commissioners and staff, for what you're doing. The Parks and Rec is doing good. The street lighting is doing good. The only other thing I need to say on the ARB board, when they come to us, when the people come to us in Lehigh, we say no for a reason. Don't let your department up here say yes and bypass us. Ask us why. Thank you all very, very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Yassin. Do we have any further speakers today? Okay, I see no further speakers. We'll come back to the board. Mr. Harner, you know, we've obviously discussed this item. Would you like to address the comments related to the animal control issue? Yes. Kevin's case?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. Moore to present.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning, Commissioners. Obviously, an unfortunate incident such as occurred last week prompts us to immediately look at our protocols and processes. We've begun our review to ensure the events are not repeated in the future. We certainly don't want a repeat of this. As a pet owner myself, I deeply sympathize with the loss experienced and understand the emotional impact it has on all involved. Under the direction of the county manager, staff are actively investigating the incident. Findings and recommendations for improvement will ultimately be presented to the board. I believe we have an opportunity here to examine how animals are evaluated when they come into our shelter and ensure the process is thorough and decisions are made with sound judgment. Also part of this investigation, County Ordinance 14-22, which governs animal-related regulations in Lee County, is being reviewed. I think you heard it mentioned several times. This ordinance currently mandates licensing and vaccination of cats and identification tags to aid in the return of lost animals. The ordinance calls out for a mandatory 5-day hold period for any stray animals that are either licensed or microchipped to allow animal services sufficient time for us to reunite them with owners. However, it's important to note that the ordinance does not currently provide a holding period for small animals, including cats, that are neither microchipped nor licensed, and I think you heard that as well this morning. To address this, Lee County Animal Services has prioritized efforts to promote licensing and microchipping. We do offer free or reduced cost microchipping at events at our shelter. Additionally, local fire districts are now equipped with chip readers, and they're helping us return pets to their owners because they are in the community and they're out there more often than sometimes we are. You know, despite these efforts, stray animals, particularly cats, remain a significant and ongoing challenge in Lee County and in many communities across the nation. It's not unique to Florida. In May alone, Animal Services has taken in 700 cats, and on average, annually, we take 20 cats per day. So it gives you a little bit of context in the pressures that the shelter is under. You know, sadly, only about 1% of our impounded cats are ever reclaimed by owners, and as a result, the shelter is often overwhelmed and operating at overcapacity. You know, currently, today, we have 130 cats in our care. Not all of them are on the adoption floor. There are several that are in the back holding, waiting, reclaim, or reuniting with their owners. Some are undergoing medical evaluation. There are procedures such as spaying and neutering and chipping that they have to go through before we can adopt them out. And we do have a fostering program in which a lot of these are waiting fosters. Additionally, I just mentioned fosters. We have 126 cats now that are fostering that will eventually have to come back to the shelter if not ultimately adopted. So to help alleviate this crisis, we strongly encourage all pet owners to license and microchip their cats, spay and neuter their pets, and keep pets indoors during season. And right now, as we're in the middle of kitten season, you know, annually we do experience a crush of animals brought into the shelter during the spring months. Explains the 700 cats that we've had thus far through the shelter. And most importantly, you know, to help resolve some of these issues that we have with overwhelming numbers, we call on members of our community who are passionate as us about animal welfare to consider fostering and adopting. We do have adoption coordinators, we do have fostering coordinators, and we do have rescue coordinators now on staff. Thanks to the board, we have those additional positions. So we really encourage folks to help us move the animals out of the shelter and hopefully in the future prevent, you know, an untimely event that we experienced last week. And together, I think you heard the speakers ask for us to look at things, and we are doing that. And I think with community involvement and responsible pet ownership, we can certainly improve the outcomes for animals in Lee County.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions for our staff at this time?
If I may, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Mullen.
obviously this is an unfortunate incident. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm glad we're examining the policies and procedures to find ways to improve. You know, there's constant improvement, and I know that Commissioner Greenwell actually made a motion for all of our ordinances and all of our codes to be re-examined and revisited. So all these comments and feedbacks of highlights of concerns are all in areas that staff can address when they come back to us with amended ordinances and procedures. So I look forward to the conversation, but I would agree that a 2-hour window is an unfortunate. I mean, you could just go on to work or go on to Publix, and that doesn't give you much time to even know you had a problem. So at the same time, as pet owners, my pets have tags and, you know, collars and tags with our name and address on them, and they have the chips on there. So can you speak again about the cost of that if somebody is in financial need? Do we offer those services for free? When you adopt an animal, is it already chipped, and is that part of the process, please?
Yes, Commissioner, that is the process. If you do adopt an animal from Lee County Animal Services, it is chipped before it leaves the shelter. We also have several events throughout the year and outreach events as well, in which we offer chipping free of charge to the public.
And that information's on our website for the public to access and understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, we are definitely sorry for your loss and heartbroken about this. I can't even imagine being in the position of 700 cats a month and 20 cats a day and trying to, I'm sure every one of them gets looked over with the hope of, is this somebody's, is there a chip? Is this somebody's family member? Is this somebody's pet that we can return to them? And I know that we do our very best to try and get those back to people. And I'm glad to hear that you're taking a second look at the procedures, and we do look forward to hearing the results of what you come back to us with. So thank you for that. Will you, after the meeting, meet with Ms. Tardif to offer any other information that she's looking for?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, is there any further business before us then, Commissioners? All right, seeing no further business before us, we're adjourned. Thank you.